Hi, good evening, everyone. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome you all to this exclusive webinar on empowering education, rethinking education in an age of digitalization and disruption. This webinar is exclusively brought to you by Camu and AWS. What we will see in this webinar is how technology can help institutions and overcome the challenge and be an enabler in the most challenging times that we have today. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Swaminathan, CEO and co-founder of Camu, to set the context for this conversation and give a brief introduction to the speakers and the panelists for the day. And it's my pleasure to welcome you, Swami. Over to you, Swami.
Thank you, Kelly. Good afternoon to our audience and a warm welcome. The topic for the webinar, Rethinking Education in the Age of Digitalization Disruption, a very relevant topic today. And we have an elite group of panelists, and I'm delighted and honored to be the moderator for the session with such elite panelists for the day. Let me just quickly introduce the panelists, and we'll go on to the topic of discussion. So we have three panelists today, and the first panelist we have is publishing Dr. Bala Balachandran, J.L. Kellogg Distinguished Professor, Emeritus in Service at Northwestern University, USA. Also the founder chairman and Dean Emeritus at Great Lakes Institute of Management in India. With more than 100 research publications and several books to his credit, Professor Bala's research interest focus on strategic profitability through customer-centric business strategies. A teacher by qualification, but an academic entrepreneur by choice. Dr. Bala Balachandran is one of the best-known names in the Indian and American management education. Welcome, Dr. Bala, and thank you for being a panelist today.
Thank you, Swami.
We also have in the panel Dr. Preeti Bajaj, Vice Chancellor at Galgothias University. She has a PhD in electronics engineering, and she also holds an MBA. Over 30 years of rich experience in administrative, academic, and research activities. She is currently the chair of the Education Activities Committee in IEEE Region 10. She's also currently a member of the MEP Steering Committee for the UP State Government. We're delighted to have you as a panelist today, Dr. Preeti. Welcome to the session. Not able to hear your voice, Dr. Preeti. We'd also like to welcome our third panelist, Vinay, who's responsible for business development at Amazon Internet Services for the education sector in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. He's been in the education industry for 10 years and also been an entrepreneur for 5 years in education technology. He also holds an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. Welcome, Vinay, to the session today. Thank you for being a panelist.
Thanks, Swami. Happy to be here.
Great. Without further ado, we can get started with the session. So it's a 1-hour session today. So we'll use the first 40 minutes or so for a panel discussion. We have several interesting topics which you will find interesting as well to discuss. And towards the last 20 minutes, we will set aside for some questions. But we encourage you to type your questions as you can think of any questions, and please type it in the window you have for questions. We may take 1 or 2 questions depending upon how things go during the session also. So please keep typing your questions. We will be looking forward to it. And towards the end, we'll have exclusive Q&A session as well. So that's going to be the format. And I'm delighted to be here to get started on the session. The first question to Dr. Bala. Can you share some your insight on some? Obviously, there's lots happening today in the education sector. Your insight on some deep transformation that you're seeing. Some examples or what you're experiencing as a deep transformation. If you could, sorry, just before the Dr. Bala, on the topic itself, your comments on the topic itself, and then you can take this question, Dr. Bala. Your comments on the topic, please.
Very good. Thank you very much, Swami. First of all, Welcome to all the viewers who are in this education field in an age of disruption, digitalization, and also disorientation in the educational thinking. This is my sixth decade of education. I am one of the oldest people here, nearing 84 completion. But let me give very important thinking. It is not only the digital and disruption happens, but suddenly the entire world is in what I call it as crisis management and tremendous uncertainties. Uncertainties of the century or whatever you want to call at the peak. I always say this stuff. Uncertainties are inevitable, but worrying is optional. Panicking is pathetic, and planning is paramount. I will repeat that. Uncertainties are inevitable, and right now, in this age of disruption and digitalization and crisis management, worrying definitely optional. Can we take this COVID as a challenge or as an opportunity? Is it a disruption, or is it allowing us to reorient and reinvent educational inefficiencies? So uncertainties are inevitable, but worrying is optional. And definitely panicking is pathetic. Some of them are panicking due to politics, due to several other man-made creations. But planning is paramount. So if you deep think, we know something has to be done. We can question a lot of things. This COVID has shown us what is called as not only effectiveness, but efficiency. How fast we created the vaccine. If God created us, God also created this COVID. What for? Is it for a constructive purpose, for a destructive purpose? Yes, people died. But at the same time, there are so much of efficiency we saw. Business world has shown that people can stay in their home and work. Disruption. That is the new normal. A guy by name Srikant Datar, who could not get a deanship at Harvard Business School when he tried to compete at age 54, and Larry Summers was asked to take off. With that, his appointment was gone. Planning of appointment was gone. At age 57, again he competed, and Nitin Noria got it. But at the age 67, 68 right now, but at the age 67, he got the announcement that he will be the dean for the next 10 years. That means he's going to retire at 77, 78. Why did Harvard, supposed to be the best business school, arguably, has made him again? This is there. So I will take more questions and say that this is really a constructive rethinking if you take it. If you think the rose bushes is a bushes of roses with a thorn or a thorn bush with a rose, that's our choice.
Excellent, Dr. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much, and I will take the other questions when time comes.
So I'll just I'll go around the table. Dr. Preeti, your views on the topic itself, please.
So good evening and thank you, Swami, for having me, giving me this opportunity. It's really great to be with Dr. Bala, Vinay, yourself. So I would say I have learned from my mentors 3 words, and which are really applicable and which we are doing for last 1 year. So learn, I would say unlearn and relearn as well. So whatever we are playing with technology, we are coming up with, it has given a platform for innovations, basically integration of many technologies. We may have, we in every of the campuses, industries, they were using technologies, the softwares, the platform, but those digital platforms, whether those were compatible, we realized no, yes, all that, and people have come out with, somewhere they came out with jugaad, somewhere they tried, and then innovations have happened in campuses, organizations all over. And we realized, everyone has realized that digitization, data, these are going to be two, and then integration of IT or technologies are going to rule the world. And the future is going to be, I would say, now every campus will run in blended technology. As far as education, I would say, so that is going to be the integral part. The gone those days when we used to say, so online learning, distance learning, and it is not equivalent to offline learning. Yes, it is, but still, what are the challenge, what are the advantages of online learning, that also people have seen and realized. The advertisement, the branding, the learning, maybe teaching learning completely, administration, everything people have done and digitally, and they realize that's not that difficult, whether it's from just child of year 3, or maybe he's 60 years or 70 years old, wherein he has never been online. So everybody has done some innovations, everybody has learned, relearned, and everybody realized that urge, wherein what kind of digitization or what kind of knowledge, minimum knowledge, I would say, or minimum technologies to be learned by every individual. That's to begin with. Thank you.
Very important points you've highlighted. That there's so much that we are figuring out, and if we set ourselves that some of the achievements that we already have made as targets, we may not have been sure of that. But there's so much that we have changed, and like you said, online education is no more a stepchild. It's pretty much on par. It's an equivalent now. And if we said that a year back, it may not have, we may not have been so sure of that. But very well highlighted, Dr. Preeti. Vinay, your thoughts on the topic, please.
Okay, thanks, Swami. So the way I look at it, right, we have always seen that technology has not been able to make the kind of dent in education that it has made in pretty much every other industry, right? And mobile phones is typically taken as a classic example, how dramatically it has transformed, but education has not. But there are some very valid reasons. It's an industry that has evolved over the last 200 plus years, and till date, EdTech always meant technology people creating solutions for education, which never really matched the way it was required to. In a way, what the pandemic has done, as it has kind of shaken up the entire industry to adopt technology very aggressively. And what we are seeing today in the market is for the first time, we are seeing educationists driving the technology companies to create products that are meaningful and that can be actually used and deliver benefits in the campus. So I think it is absolutely a great time for education to reimagine itself, as Dr. Bala said very right.
Definitely, I think we're sort of trying to meet in the middle, technology and education. Technology has obviously been the most the biggest enabler in the current, and it's kept education going. There are certain industries where it had to take a big hit in terms of their momentum and progress, but technology has enabled us in the education sector. So absolutely, so we got to meet somewhere. We are meeting somewhere in the middle and getting closer to each other, education and technology. Dr. Bala, I would like to hear your views on any deep transformation that you're noticing, any specific things you'd like to share with us so the audience can get a first-hand view, your first-hand view on some of the things that you are noticing that you consider like deep transformation happening right now.
Very definitely. I think Vinay touched upon this. Now it is very clear. Previously, technology was an enabler a support function. The primary function was the teachers and the faculty, the human resource. Let me call it as there are two major things happen. One is essentially, it's always a brick and mortar, always a classroom, always a sort of no flipped classroom. It's all teacher experiential learning, but always touch and feel. Now the COVID and the crisis and the technology enhancement and artificial intelligence, I call it as AIM Lab, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, machine learning, algorithmic analytics, and blockchain, and several others. Now technology has become an equal force. The booster rocket of education is propelled by two forces of people and technology equally. And technology has given a support function, which was, now it has become a main function. Now every course you are going to see is going to have a segment of technology directly, totally, and at the same time a segment of people totally, and a blended learning also. So this kind of a transformation is a revolutionary transformation, which not only promote effectiveness in classroom, but also efficiency. So everybody who was not allowed or could not do it due to economic reason, people say if education is expensive, try ignorance. Now I will say try technology. That transformation came only in the last 2 years, especially because of this crisis management. And that is going to make even the fundamental undergraduate education, which is normally 4 years, is going to be a 3 years. That is a revolution.
Sure, absolutely. And we also hear of things like institutions are now trying to share, resources, allowing students to take certain online courses, and that you can get credit for that when you're university. But these are things we never thought of earlier. These makes so much share resources.
We discounted. We thought it is a second-rate education. Now it is going to be a first-rate education, and there are certain courses where technology is more superior than human resource. Certain areas where people are more superior, and we are going to blend the two. And a flipped classroom is a future of life education.
Thank you, Dr. Bala. Dr. Preeti, I would like to throw the same question at you as well to see what you are noticing, what deep transformation that you are seeing.
I would say I truly support Dr. Bala, but still, again, to me, I would say the top technologies which we have also experimented in the campuses like ours. So AI, whether it is AWS or data science, IoT, Industry 4.0, the ERP. If I talk about governance, so it would be ERPs and sensors and transducers. All these are going to be so mandatory subjects for everyone. So if I look at national education policy also, that talks about AI and data science, but I would say these would be integrated, whether it is administration, whether it is teaching learning, whether it is operational, everywhere. The Excel, Office, probably people used to learn or ignore as well. Now they have realized all, whether soft skills and all these softwares are how many, those are important and essential need for the, on day-to-day operation. So technology, basically technology driven campuses, wherein I would say UGC has also taken decision like 40% subjects are going to be online. The AICT has come out with NPTEL wherein 20% subjects. So look at the change in the transformation at the regulatory bodies as well, wherein they have switched over from 0 to 20, and now within 1 year 20 to 40%. So that's going to be, that is the major transformation, I would say, in the campuses, which is going to happen, wherein school of liberal education, maybe school of pharmaceutical, maybe medical and paramedical courses, maybe for that purpose, agricultural science. So everywhere that was not applicable. It was only for, it was limited to engineering, and now it has come across for everyone. So people have started talking about outcomes. People have started talking about digitally chosen course. And I will come further to say maybe the degree would be wherein you have courses from n number of institutions and n number of courses based on totally learner centric. So that's going to be the transformation. So,
yeah, absolutely. Learners engage with multiple institutions at the same time. So there's nothing like the physicality is being removed, right? And that enablement, that direction is very clearly being set, where a learner can learn in 5 or 6 different institutions, bring your credits together, put it in the credit bank, and then earn your degree when you like, and then take a few more courses and then come back and learn. Absolutely, that's very interesting. And the fact that the governing bodies are embracing it, that's the real proof that it's here to stay, and it's already changed. Thank you, Dr. Preeti. Vinay, what are your observations on the adoption of edtech? From your perspective, from the technology background, what are your observations on adoption of edtech?
Sure, Swami. So as you know, AWS works with thousands of institutes across the world, right? So it gives us a vantage point to observe how things are changing in the industry across the globe. What we have seen during the pandemic is a very clear demarcation of how institutes have adopted technology in 3 distinct phases. So in the initial phase, we saw that institutes were kind of reacting, So whatever was the most convenient technology available to them, whatever was most familiar to them, they started adopting that, somehow get the student and the teacher on the same platform in some way or the other. Slowly it became more of a consolidation. They realized that power of technology. They understood different things that technology could do, and a lot of consolidation started happening. People wanted to come on a single platform. They started using more and more of storage for their digitizing the documents, disaster recovery, learning management systems like Moodle, etc. Moving even their core systems like SAP, HR systems. So that was the second phase. What we are seeing now, and it's very clearly visible, is many institutes are taking the lead to use this as an opportunity to reimagine themselves. They're actually creating, and it is most of the places where it is working well it is top driven, it is leadership driven agenda. They make technology a strategic imperative. They mobilize their entire team around them, and they're iterating fast. See, no one knows what is that one solution which is going to create transformation, right? But these leaders are iterating fast, and I think they are the ones who will really, define the trends, and obviously will benefit from that. And one very interesting phenomena in this is this leadership is coming from all over the place. It is not restricted to the metros or the top names that we know of. Interestingly, many institutes who are probably in the remote areas are much more agile and faster to innovate than what we are seeing in metros probably. So that's been very interesting to see.
Sure, Vinay. I think the institutions are a lot more focused, and you're absolutely right. It's not in pockets or only in metros. It's just happening. Anybody is able to make progress, and that's very welcome to be able to see that. Now, the first few minutes we covered quite a few, pretty much it's on the technology. Getting a bit deeper into the actual learning. Dr. Bala, your views on online learning. There's obviously there's an obvious answer to that. But what is it actually doing to the learner? What is the experience? What's the transformation? What are the challenges? And what are your views on that?
I think, even before the COVID or some crisis happened, people started trying, especially when international collaboration and distinction was needed. I always say, be distinct or extinct. Be distinct or extinct. So even before the crisis, people know online education. People knew experiential learning, not only brick and mortar, like a lab in a technology school, but even in non-technology areas, can we have some kind of experiential learning? And what happened is this crisis created that without technology, you don't exist. Just like we say every company is a technology company. It's not a technology company. Every company is a manufacturing company or a banking company, but without technology, can they exist now? Without technology. Similarly, every company is a service company. Without providing service, can you exist now? Now, if assume that Zoom was not there or a Google Meet is not there, how can those people can teach anything when you are stuck in your home? Learning can be stopped completely? No, but learning has to continue. Where is the solution? Technology is the answer. It is the medium of communication which made learning available. Preeti clearly said learn, unlearn, etc. I said learn, 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 like anything, till death. Now you can learn. And then earn like anything. Some people say being materialistic is anti-spiritualistic. Bullshit. Look at all these religious leaders, ton of money. And that means you can return a lot. Learn, as Preeti says, relearn, again, improve the learning, but earn. And after that, OEAR, earn to return. And that is exactly what is happening. Everybody has to learn how to use the technology and make education a continuous process without any disruption. The model may change, the digital mode can change, but the learning has to continue. How do you continue? And if you are stuck in the home,
Sure.
and you
Yeah.
are
So
not
obviously,
doing
it's not a choice, but it's pretty much there to stay, and it's
exist,
already.
it is going to grow and it is going to be
Yeah.
perfected. Now it is going to
Sure.
be perfected. It is
Yeah.
improvement. Just like in technology version 4.0, not only industrial revolution 4.0, technology revolution 4.0, 5.0, it comes. We are going to
Sure.
improve, and people like Amazon.com and Vinay are going to be in highest demand. No question
Excellent.
about it.
Excellent, Dr. Bala. I will take. There's a question, interesting related question from the audience. I will see. I will read out the question. Dr. Preeti, if you could share your insight. How does the remote learning? How does the remote learning impact learners? So it's a related question, specifically to the students, in terms of outcomes and authenticity. So it goes a bit deeper into that same question, a bit deeper. Are they really learning? What's going? So you obviously have got a large number of teaching professors in your organization that are teaching. What are you hearing from them? What really is happening? So I think, and it also, there's another part of that question: how will it impact their employability skills? I mean, a lot of parents ask that question. You're just learning something online. Are you really employable? Are you as good? So that's the real question. That's the intent of the question, Dr. Preeti.
Okay, so I'll come to all the points, 2 points which you have raised. So, Mr. Swami, it is going to be, it's like, first is, it's the era of outcome-based education. So whether it is offline, online, everybody across the globe. So it started with, a bit, and then now overcome probably for every program, whether it is AICTE, UGC, or all regulatory bodies, they are coming up with, outcome-driven curriculum. So that's one part, wherein in India also we have outcome based system. Now coming to the segment, when it is online or offline, when teachers do design the curriculum based on the needs, they will deliver based on outcomes. But whether it is, if especially in the outcome, because in offline it is face to face contact, so I know who is learning and who is not able to understand. It's a typical Indian system, conventional system. But when it is online, until and unless we are into engagement mode, it means we are into a smart learning, that content would be very less, especially for the students. This was 1 year, was lot of experimentation was done. Many of them were first time learner, especially online learner. So to have that ecosystem, to have understanding about how that would be, everybody was not everybody has not taken up really to the true sense, and probably the learning was only 20%, to the tune of only 20%. But I'm very sure and confident, like the kind of ecosystem that is there, and everybody is into online learning, in the coming days, people will take it, but there has to be softwares, there has to be a technology which will engage the learner. Now, how it could be? It could be AI based system. It could be some quizzes can be floated on the course outcome. So when you are teaching, what is the outcome? So some questions can be there on every lecture. Some system can come out with, until unless you answer, you are not attainable or your attendance would not be marked. So some mandate, some technology support, and some self initiative. So that all would make online learning really impactful. Otherwise, it will not be impactful. It's just one-sided. I came, I have delivered. I don't bother about, whether you learn or not learn, or whether you have attained or you have, you are going to have. But yes, if it's an engagement-based model, then yes, course outcomes will be there. And finally, if I follow the Bloom's taxonomy, the employability would definitely enhance. So employability skills would be enhanced, but yes, all that is required is technology. It would require smart learning. It would require smart platform, and it would take some time in the, especially in Indian context, if you are talking about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's very reassuring, Dr. Preeti. That was a question from Sachin Guruve. I can also add the industry aspect to that, the employability. We're certainly looking at, are you able to learn online? Because let it come and work online also. So you let it work from home. So it's so industry is also looking at it from multiple angles. So I don't think that students will be credited for doing things online. So yeah, thanks, Dr. Preeti, for your response on that. The next, Vinay, can you share any your views on what are any special new offerings that's interesting, from AWS perspective? Any new kinds of technologies that have been introduced that may be interesting for our audience?
Sure, Swami. So one of the key differentiators of AWS is the speed with which it innovates. That is one. The second is 90% of our innovation is driven by customers. And I'll talk about two innovations which are touching upon these 2 points. One of student engagement and the second of employability. Okay. So on the student engagement, one of the trends that we are seeing, a significant trend we are seeing, is a requirement for online assessments, whether it is proctored or not proctored. And AWS has recently, we always had a service called as recognition. Okay. So which can take snapshots of students at every few seconds, or it could be a continuous video also, depending on whether the student has got the bandwidth or not. And it will detect multiple parameters, whether the student is looking here and there, whether there are any additional objects, is there someone else in the frame, all of that. And it all runs on machine learning. And based on that, the system is able to tell if the test has been taken authentically or not. Okay, so this is one particular solution which is seeing significant traction, which is to do with student engagement. In a way, it is more for the proctored one. We had a very interesting case in a particular university some time back, where the same solution was used by the VC to detect the student engagement in a lecture, to understand if the students are really engaged with the professor or not. And the second solution relates to employability. Obviously, coming from cloud computing, I will talk about employment in the cloud industry. So if you have followed the newspapers, it has been said that the corporate war, the next corporate war would be on cloud skills. The kind of employability that cloud skills provides today is phenomenal. The number of AWS certifications in the last 1 year have gone up by 85%. And how does it tie to what we are offering as a solution? So we have recently come up with a solution called 5 in a box. So what does it do? It will help any institute offer a deep tech course at zero upfront cost. So we offer a combination of curricular support, faculty development, virtual labs, industry connect, and branding. So for any institute anywhere in the country, they can just, and AICT has recently started giving permission for many of these emerging technology courses. It is completely aligned with that. So I mean, it's great. We just had a conversation today in the morning. So the institutes was looking to buy an on-premise lab, which would cost them something in the range of 90 lakhs to 1 crore. Versus that, it comes to a cost of a few lakhs of rupees per semester for the entire student community. And in the process, you're getting individual GPU machines for every student. You're not, hundreds of students trying to access the same server. You are able to access it from anywhere. Lockdown, no lockdown, does not matter. And best of all, there is no risk of technology obsolescence at all. You're always on the latest technology. So obviously the students who are using these virtual labs will be way more employable compared to what they would be doing on premise labs.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. So the solutions for protecting the integrity of high stakes exams, and also a series of tools for upskilling skill development at a reasonable cost of ownership as well. It certainly sounds very interesting how we're able to give virtual labs, and that kind of offering certainly sounds very interesting, Vinay.
Excellent.
Right. Thanks for that, Vinay. Dr. Bala, next, I'd like to hear your thoughts on on this particular topic, very critical and very relevant today. Multidisciplinary education is becoming the order of the day. Students want to acquire skills that they want to acquire, not go through a set program. And now this situation has also enabled that students are doing multiple things. They're able to access any learning resource anywhere. So they're also getting tuned to that. But our system probably still designed for a fixed learning at the same pace by a group of students all together at the same speed. What changes do you expect to see in this space? Of course, the regulatory bodies are going to allow the institutions to liberate themselves. But what changes do you expect to see in this space? How can you enable that?
I think you are touching upon something very dear to my heart and what is happening. Especially first time the globe has become a village. It is no more India, no more US, no. Now, for example, globality. So the question even in the business world or any world is now, for example, the superiority of US is now questioned. And some developing countries is now transforming even better. So there are now, nobody knows who is going to be a dominant player in innovation and creativity, not only in education, even in every parts of life. So globality is, can I compete from anyone with anyone in the world by staying anywhere in the world, in a village like Manamai in South India, and for any resource in the world? Can I compete with anyone in the world, being anywhere in the world, and at the same time for any resource in the world? That is possible, right? Now, and therefore, for example, the MIT education, you can get an MIT degree without going to Cambridge or anywhere stepping out of India. That is possible, right? Now, if that is possible, then how the higher education policy of Government of India is going to change? So that India is going to be not lagging behind China any day anymore.
Sure.
All right. If that is the case, how are we going to exceed the expectations of the Indian individual compared to anybody else? So you will be so when that globality mindset comes in, then the reach has become the richness. Can I reach anybody? Can I have a great professor or a great technology coming to India, not waiting for 10 years and 5 years? And not only that, look at our current younger population. My grandson, who is 10 years, never read a user's manual. I read a user's manual 3 hours and still do not know. He just uses his fingers. He uses his fingers and he fixes it. Grandpa, this is how it is to be done. How the heck you know? I don't know that. The kid knows it. I don't know it.
Sure.
I am a PhD. The guy is only elementary school. Now this guy is going to come to high school in about 5 years. And this guy is going to come to undergraduate program in colleges, whatever he chooses, medicine or agriculture or business, and he's going to kill all of us. And if that is the case, what are we doing? And I really feel this challenge has become an opportunity. Stumbling block has become a stepping stone. If somebody throws stones, build a castle with that and not throw the stone back. And India is very adaptive for that. So as Vinay said, customer is going to be the king. And the customer is the student now and the employer also. In education field, there are two sets of customers. One, the students going in, they are also customers to us. But at the same time, recruiters who is going to recruit them, they are also customers. And if I don't make this alignment of the two and give value, I am out, no matter what. All the big names are all going to be out, challenged.
Very, very important points of highlight that Dr. Bala. Quite inspiring that being anywhere, in any village, in any corner of the world, aspire to be anything. Very,
And that
very
is
inspiring.
available because of technology. Let us understand that.
We just reached that 40 minutes, but the number of questions from the audience, which is quite very encouraging. But I would like to cover two questions quickly with Dr. Preeti and one for Vinay as well. Then we can take a number of very good questions from the audience. Dr. Preeti, is it 10 years from now? How would an education organization look like? How different would it be?
I would say the same which I touched upon, in between. So, three points I would like to say. One, when it started with, CBCS or multidisciplinary, also you have said, so the degrees are going to be broad-based. It's going to be T model. So T model is, so it's going to be the breadth of subjects or courses which you can take up. Yes, and you go deep into wherever it is required. So it's going to be the T model, which is going to be very, very popular. The second thing, 10 years down the line, I could see a student having degree from maybe 10 institutions, 10 organizations, 10 university. The way he wanted, it's going to be a collection of courses and, just a packaging. So the entry institution may be X and the exit would be from Y, and that's going to be what he wanted to learn, the way he wanted to learn, the and it is going to be probably the more focus on skills. That's going to be 10 years down the lane. Doesn't matter, it is online, offline, technology based. That's going to be, a smart degree, I would say. And with academic credit banks, wherever whatever is required, he will just open his, bank and he will accumulate and use those points, a kind of, really bank. So that's going to be the future.
Preeti, you said it all. It is just perfect. That is the world. The world is going to be, you even a textbook is going to be custom made. 10 different books. You take the chapter, the best chapter of each one of the book, and that will be your book.
And sir, this last 1 year has, really world has shrink. Doesn't matter where you are, who is teaching, how you are teaching. So probably every university has engaged into international model, and the collaborative research is going to be enhanced, because so far everybody was looking at physical interaction, and now everybody is looking at online interaction. And with the cost has minimized, the travel has minimized, the time has minimized, and the output, it's going to be more productive as well. Correct. So that's going to be the 10 years down the line. Thank you.
Beautiful. And that's the
as you correctly said, it is going to be a smart university, not a brick and mortar. It's smart university.
Yeah, absolutely. So we need to now think about, where we are today, set programs. Students got to go at the same speed. And we need to get to a stage. The future is going to, students are going to, or learners are going to want to do things at their own pace, do things what they like and when they like to do it. And then they will choose to earn a degree when they want to earn that degree. And the regulatory bodies are already enabling that. So that's the transformation. And then we need to, obviously, there's a lot of work to do to achieve that. That scenario. And I think that will be quite interesting for everybody. Just one last question, then we'll take some of, from my side, and then we'll take the audience question. Vinay, I get asked this every day, and I would like you to share your insight. Is it secure to keep applications in the cloud? How do you defend the security of the cloud? Apollo, we talked about a lot of conceptual things. But very basic question, I think quite important to our audience. Many people still do have apprehension. So how would you explain the security of the cloud, Vinay?
Sure. So at AWS, security is called as job zero. Okay. And the kind of investment that the company makes in security, it's incredible. We have more than 230 different services, tools, etc., which support the security of the data in the cloud. Okay. And they undergo rigorous audits every year, and the kind of investment that is made by AWS in security would not be possible for any, even a large global MNC bank also. Okay. And across the world, every region that we have, it is the same infrastructure and the same configuration that is used. And what we have, what we call is the shared model. We call in that what essentially happens for the customer is that you are in control of all your data completely. You can choose where the data resides. You can choose whether the data is going to be encrypted at rest or in transit, who is going to access it, everything. So just let me say this, as a customer, if you're using AWS, you're using that commercial cloud service, which is the only one which has been approved for highly confidential workloads, including for military, government, or banking institutes. So it is that secure.
Excellent. Thanks for the insight. Quite important to reassure our audience and many others in the industry. So we'll go to
Swami, I want to interrupt only 1 minute.
Yes,
I want you to look at the word university. It is universe city, right? So if you have a smart city and the whole world is all smart cities and the universe, I mean, so what it is, it's a university, right? I just want you to think through this stuff.
Excellent. You're so good in quite terms and making, extracting, meanings out of words and stuff. Yeah,
I'm
excellent.
just emphasizing Preethi's observation.
Absolutely. Okay. Thanks, Dr. Pala. The another question, I think, so this is probably touching upon another end of the spectrum. It's a question from Sundar Sharma. Maybe Dr. Preethi, you can see, read out the question, see if you can help, answer this question, please. What are the 3 basic challenges for education systems, specifically in the countryside? So I mean in the rural areas. So the question is, rural areas, what are the major challenges today and how do they cope with it? That's the question. That's the intent of the question, I believe.
You want me to take up this?
Yeah, if you could please, okay. You're giving insight in that. Yeah.
Okay, so I would say 3 basic challenges. So the first would be IT infrastructure. Although the IT infrastructure, as Vinay has said, that in remote areas, some of the institutions really have a good, but then still I would say the first one would be IT infrastructure, which I would say including a strong ERP in the campus, because when we say data is going to be, or database management is going to be the future, because data driven campuses would be there. So I would say the IT infrastructure, whether it is bandwidth, whether it is systems, whether it is software, so or ERP, so that's going to be one. The second is going to be maybe if they are 100% online, then won't be a challenge, but otherwise I would say the collaboration would be a part, will be little challenging for them with the industries or maybe with the research organization. That would be a little bit challenging for them. And third, when we talked about multidisciplinary, when we talked about really choice-based system, so do they have all the courses, all the programs in their vicinity, or where it is feasible? If again, the solution goes to the technology. If they have technology, then the students can take up online, offline, everything would happen. But if they have lack of technology, then that would be a challenge, wherein and above all, understanding of NEP in totality. Although innovation, incubation, design, all those are buzzwords as on today, lot of discussion is happening. So something good would happen, that we all regulatory bodies and administrator can presume. But then, is it really being understood in a correct sense? And how would be the actual implementation plan, considering the Indian education system, which is, university affiliated system, government owned institutions, semi-government, private, and all that, the kind of complex education system and structure which we have, probably it would be difficult, I won't say difficult, but will be challenging to implement in immediately. Although I'm a big advocate of national education policy and choice-based and multidisciplinary system, wherein I have done lot of experiments in various institutions, but I would find understanding and capacity building. So more capacity building workshops, more technology exposure would be a solution to this as well. So I have raised the questions and I have raised, challenges with the solutions as well. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Preeti. I'm trying to pick some of the very challenges that, pain points. The questions are really highlighting some pain points. I'm trying to give a bit of a priority for those. But anyway, we will get all the questions answered and we will email it to all the participants. The next question again, Vinay and Dr. Preeti, probably your roles, you may have an answer to this question. Whether the AICTE and UGC promote the use of cloud. This may reduce cost of education. I do not see any guidelines in AICTE manual with regards to cloud incorporation in teaching and learning. So your thoughts, reactions on this.
So Vinay, you will take up, or I should say?
No, ma'am, you can take this up. I should not be commenting on the regulatory part.
Okay. So it's not about regulatory body, but they have always said the use of technology. I would say I have used, even in fact, AWS sometime back, 3 years back. I have made it mandatory because a lot of freedom the regulatory bodies gives to the administrator and campuses. I have made it mandatory for each and every engineering student that they need to do at least 8 hours, and during orientation period. So when the student is undergoing 3 weeks mandatory training, it is expected that he should learn at least 8 hours self-study, the course on cloud to understand, because it doesn't matter he is from engineering or non-engineering. That I did here as well in my university. We have come up with a disruptive technology course. So I would say it is essential thing. So it is not necessary that the regulatory body should mention each and everything. That's up to the leaders as well. The campuses are driven by educators, and they would realize that, as I said, it's a digitally driven campuses, which is the need of an hour. It's technology driven campuses, and data is going to be the center. Whether you take the rankings like whether it is QS ranking, whether it is NRF ranking, NBA, NAC, everything requires data. And then data would be, you require not only data or statistics, it would come out of reports, and it would come out of lot of work which we do 24/7, and all that. For that you require digitization, storage, and for your convenience, campuses have to come up with a cloud setup. So it's very, very essential as on today that every campus should have the NAS server. They should come out with cloud, their own cloud, private cloud. They should go for professional services for exploring the cloud. But then that's very, very essential. Doesn't matter where you are, your office should be always available 24/7 with you. So that's so I don't think any regulatory body should specify that. They require data, and it is up to us. That's, I would say.
I also want to point out on that point.
Yes, Dr.
The regulatory bodies will be more an enablers in addition to be a regulators. I want you to know the top 10 business institutions in US, starting from Harvard, Stanford, Kellogg, Northwestern, none of them is AACSP accredited. None of them. All right. Why?
Amazing.
Why? The free market regulates everything. If you are not creating value to the enormous fees that they charge, they'll be out, regulated or not regulated. So I think those who are in India, top schools, leading schools, universities, which are more interested in their reputation, regulation is only a side benefit. The primary is motivated by themselves. I am not going to compromise on quality or character and integrity. So they will be propelled by integrity and character. not by regulators. I don't worry about regulators. Yes, I respect them. They need it because there are some unscrupulous bad institutions will come. All right, there need to be regulation, no question. But at the
Sure.
same time, amazing people are self-motivated and driven, not due to regulation. Please note that. And that is going to happen more in India. There will be institutions where the institutions will be far above the standards that the regulatory bodies needed because they are driven, self-driven. You mean to say Gautias and Preeti is being regulated? She is driven. That's simple. Like that, I am driven. That's it. I don't. I do respect the regulatory bodies. Please note that. But at the same time, they are not controlling me. I will go far above. Why should I be stopping and satisfying the regulatory needs? I will excel and exceed the expectations. Think about that.
Sure. Thank you,
nice.
Dr. Bala. That was sorry. Dr. Preeti, you were saying something?
No. I just said very nicely elaborated by Dr. Bala. Very nicely. Thank you, sir.
But very important question. It's sometimes people have to go through that the challenge and understand.
No, I agree because unscrupulous people can take advantage. So we need that. See, we need to have a we need to have a carrot and a stick both simultaneously.
That is a question from Kulkarni Sharbrata. The next question, I'll read out the question. It may be very relevant for Dr. Bala to answer this. Being an academic entrepreneur, again, a pain point, a very relevant pain point. This question is representing that. Some students and parents are not, this is the question from Professor Dr. Alok. Some students and parents are reluctant to pay course fee in case of online education. The cost of technology is high. So how do we deal with the situation? Basically asking for, this is probably a very, probably a pain point, very commonly faced by institutions.
I think I answered that. I think, unfortunately, the technology's importance have been realized in the last 3 years. But note that the cost of computing and the computer was so much about 20 years back. But it is not even 1/100th the cost of computing, no, not even 1/100th of that time. So in about less than 3 to 4 years, due to market forces, technology will be amazingly affordable and available. Affordable and available and accessible. And technology will be like, in a Midwest, in a oil-rich place, the water is costlier than gasoline. Water is costlier than gasoline in Kuwait, right? I think this is going to be happening. And so let us not worry about that. The free market of the technology will take care of it. The cost of technology is going to be amazingly, if you don't, it is smacked out. Social media, mobility, analytics, and the cloud is going to dominate. All of them will make the technology so affordable that any other thing will be, nothing else will be cheaper. And it will be abundance will come. But it is going to take two years maximum. So let us eliminate the fear. And that is why if an institution cannot give both simultaneously, a sort of a distance learning and at the same time brick and mortar, two different prices, same content, but the communication media are different, and that is going to be the future. Blended learning will be the art and science.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Bala. So we have just 1 minute left and about 50 odd questions that yet to be answered.
Any question to me, send them by email. I will answer them in less than 24 hours.
We will do. Thank you for your assurance, Dr. Bala. So we will get the to our audience. We'll get these questions answered, and we will share it with all the participants. There are at least maybe 40-50 questions that are yet to be answered here. So we're just on the dot now. I would like to thank the audience for taking the time and participating in this session. Thank you very much, and thank you to all to the panelists, Dr. Bala, Dr. Preeti, and Vinay for kindly accepting to share your insight today. It's been a great conversation. It has been a pleasure for me to interact with yourselves and have these conversations. Thank you very much once again for taking the time to be panelists, and thank you to all the audience, and thank you to AWS for hosting this webinar. Thank you all.
Thanks
Thank
to the
you.
audience
Thanks.
also from my side.
Thank
Great
you. Thank you,
talking to Dr. Bala,
AWS.
Dr. Priti.
Thank you, Swaminathan, and thank you, Professor Bala. Thank you. It was
Thank
really
you, Preeti. Thank
honored
you,
to be part
Vinay.
of this.
Excellent,
Thank you,
and
sir.
I would like to communicate with you sometime.
Yes, sir. Thank
Definitely,
you.
sir.
Same here. Same here, sir.
Sure.
God bless. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.